Okay, great. Yeah. So I think the breakdown will be, this. I think this is our third community meeting that we're doing, and along the way we've had some demos, but I think this particular demo is the most exciting. So in the past 2 weeks, we've been working pretty hard on updating the Marquez Web Ui, and in particular, Peter has been doing a lot of amazing work in terms of how you begin to visualize the lineage that Marquez is collecting in its Metastore. So we're going to go over that, and then I think I'm going to address a few things. So we're probably going to talk a little bit about some of the releases that we've done with Marquez Airflow. So I'm not sure, Paul, if you kind of use Airflow or you're interested in that, we're going to highlight some of the things that went into that release, and then really just leave it open for discussion. So at that point, it's anything that anyone wants to talk about, we can go into that. If there's features in Marquez that you'd like to see, we could also dive into that as well. So. All
Cool.
right. With that, Peter, if you wanted to take it away.
Sure. So I'm going to start sharing here. So we kind of, if you're at all familiar with the older generation of the Marquez UI, this is kind of very drastically different in its kind of capability and its use. So I would say the first thing we've done, and this has all happened in the last month, so these are kind of our checklist items and merge PRs we've had from the last month. So we've had quite a bit of activity here. And so the first thing we did was we fixed kind of the lint tool chain just to have like a normalized developer experience. And then also we rewrote the kind of the style sheets from the ground up, just to normalize the way everything looked and felt in the application. We abandoned some of the older libraries that didn't have good documentation or support, and just made this like look and feel like a lot more professional, and like have like a real open source quality to it. So but the biggest change here is to our lineage graph. So, a lot of us here kind of, we work internally at Datakin, and we've been able to kind of cultivate a really good experience for displaying a graph of a DAG over the last few months. So we wanted to kind of bring that vision forward into our open source product and really allow you to kind of zoom and scroll and play around and click and select nodes in a way that we couldn't really achieve before with the UI. But so the biggest problem with the older iteration of the UI was that we had this restriction with the algorithm that we used and the layout rendering pipeline, where we could only have a single root node, which was kind of actually very restrictive into what we could display. So you'll see here, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of initial nodes that are part of this DAG, which is now like unburdened from us. So we can render kind of arbitrarily large DAGs, and you can pan and zoom and do kind of all kinds of introspection. So you can click, you can see details about runs, and when things happen. You can look at locations, you can see if there's any metadata attached to a particular job. You can inspect a data set and look at the tables, the table of the data set, and just kind of play around with the graph. And we have a search experience as well. So you can kind of search for particular jobs or data sets that you're interested in through this mechanism, and then it will be able to kind of highlight that node in your graph and show you details about what it looks like. So that's kind of like the overall progress we've made. This is a new fancy little user element we've added as well, where we can kind of drag this bar up and down, just to be able to kind of constantly show the graph and keep it in view. But if you wanted to drag up and down like the detailed information, you can so do that as well. So that's kind of the bigger overview of like all of these changes we've made. And I spent actually a lot of my like full-time work just doing a lot of this. So it feels really good to have something that's quite usable here now. I would say, so for next steps, we're looking to actually merge in a lot of these, this whole repository in the main Marquez repository so that we can both get more exposure to this rendering project and um, have hand-in-hand releases with the like full Marquez implementation. And so there are other kind of things that I want to do here, but there's definitely going to be a lot of updates to this in the next few months. I think we've been talking about internally about expanding the way we do lineage in Marquez and bringing that forward here as well, just to make this more robust and scalable in like the short and medium term. So yeah, so that's kind of like a lot of the updates for the UI that we've done.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot to Peter for walking us through that, and really great work. I think maybe some people haven't seen the previous UI, but this is significant improvements, and I think the look and feel it sets us on a really good trajectory to make significant improvements to the overall and its usability. So yeah.
And I'll confess to being new to Marquez, so I'll be the junior person in the room. But all of these things, because I'm in compliance, all of this is like, where's this been? So, but I won't chew up time with my neophyte. I mean, I know what ETL is. I know what these things are, and lineage and DAGs. That I know, but just the specific approach will be a horizon I'm going to be eager to look into.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think at the same time, feel free to, express how you feel about the project and so, how you would use it. So there's no, I know we talked about some things we'll be going over, but at the same time, we could dive deeper into maybe how we build the lineage graph, maybe use cases that you see you could use this for. And I think GDPR is something that you mentioned.
Yes, and I can actually say that now real quickly, because again, I don't want to chew up what would be. I don't know how new this group is, or but one of the things that we have issues with is herding the cats. You have on-prem, you've got public cloud, you've got lots of data sources coming into the center, because we work with AI a lot, and so being able to track everything, see where it's coming from. We're looking at data catalogs very closely, metadata management. So you can kind of get a sense maybe of where this is going from my perspective. I don't really have to say too much more. I think you can probably finish my sentences, but that's kind of where I'm coming from. I'm a Python programmer. I've, data science background and legal and stuff. So that's pretty much all I could really at this point maybe communicate from my standpoint. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? This is really the goal of Marquez, is getting this visibility of where the data is coming from, where it's going, and how everything is changing over time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be huge, I think, personally, in compliance technology. This is, I don't know where this has been. I don't know why more people don't know about it, but I want to stay in this game. So thank you.
Awesome, man. No, and no, welcome. Yeah, we appreciate that positive feedback. And yeah, so the one thing that what Peter mentioned was, I think to get up and running with the project, there are a few repos, and the one thing that we're going to be doing to make things easier is consolidate all these different projects, like the Airflow integration that we have, the Web UI, and a few others, and introduce it in a single repository with a few modules. So that at least gets people gets the opportunity to get people up and running with the project a little bit quicker. So as you get more familiar with the project, as you start diving deeper and deeper into Marquez, which is great, we're going to make sure that that's an easier process for you. All right. Cool. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. Let's see here. Yeah, and I think I was just going to highlight a few things with the Marquez project itself. So like I mentioned, that we have a few repos. There's the Python client, and there's Airflow. We did have a recent release of Airflow, and if we just kind of take a look at the release notes quickly, the one thing that we do now. So what Peter demoed in the UI. So we have an API that allows you to register data sets, but also its fields. And we have the integration with Airflow that allows us to begin to extract metadata around a Postgres operator. So if you're familiar with Airflow, operator is actually the task that either reads from a database and writes to a database, but actually the work in the DAG itself. So what we have now is automatic extraction of Postgres schemas. So if you decide that you're going to add a Postgres operator in your DAG, we now are able to extract the task name and also the schema, so all the columns and all the description, not descriptions yet, but the column types and also the column names, which allows us to build that lineage graph. And as you click on a dataset node, you can start seeing the schema. And a few other things. I think the big one was, now we've been making a lot of progress with BigQuery. So we are able to extract metadata from a BigQuery operator, as well as grab the inputs and outputs, which is, I think, a really nice feature. As we see more people kind of onboard to Google Cloud, we also want to support BigQuery. And we did bump the Python client. So here there was work that we've done in the past that allows us to support authentication via API keys. So this allows us just to bump. So if you look at here, there's a write-only client, but there's one second here. But in this particular release, there's the API keys that are supported, as well as a few other enhancements in the library. So we just kind of bumped that up, and that was about it here. So that we're making some pretty good progress there. And there's also some work that Danny's doing, who's also on the call. He's now looking at adding similar support. So here with Postgres, we automatically grab the schema, and we're going to be doing the same thing for BigQuery. So he's doing some really great work there. And I think that was it. I just kind of wanted to highlight that because that was a recent release that we did, as well as with the Marquez Web. So if you go into the Marquez Web project, we added this little GIF to kind of show you the look and feel, but you could also just get up and running really quickly, which also sees the API, grabs all the Docker images that you need, and you can now play with it exactly the way that Peter was demoing. And yeah, I think that was about it. I'm not sure, Julian, if you wanted to touch upon anything else or anyone else on the call.
No, I think that's a good summary of the release. Yeah, and I think anything else we can answer any question you're curious about, people are curious about, or yeah, I think the direction is to keep adding some of the things I've been working on is like a Spark integration, for example. So really the goal is if people, I think, like on-premise in different clouds or different things, like they just add the instrumentation in every place, and then it puts all the information, the metadata in a central metadata repository, and lets you visualize everything, right, independently of where they're running.
Sorry, my brain's going 100 miles an hour. So is that, you were showing the UI on the, what was the GitHub page. Is there like an installation that it comes with like sample data, just sort of something to kick the tires? Because again, I'm pretty new to this concept. I don't know where it's been. Anyway.
Yeah, there is, right? So there are Docker images, so you can run it locally on your machine. And okay. I think the demo that Peter was showing is using the like there's a seed data set to test it out, like to try out the
perfect.
Yeah, so we have this food delivery example that we've been using, and it seeds a database with like drivers and food delivery. So you could kind of take a look at that. It's kind of almost like a weird.